What about his opponent, Joe Biden? Well, I've said this in the past and I'll say it again. Joe Biden is no saint. His current lead in opinion polls should not be mistaken for evidence that he is the best person to lead America. Joe Biden is guilty of the very same crimes that he accuses Donald Trump of. He's been called a racist, he's been called a predator, he's been accused of lying frequently, and he is equally bad at debates, perhaps worse. But the American media just can't stop singing praises of Mr. Joe Biden. Our next report gets you stories that you must know about this presidential nominee. Stories that the American press may or may not tell you.
The current president has cloaked American darkness for much too long. Too much anger, too much fear, too much division. Here and now, I give you my word. If you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst. I'll be an ally of the light, not the darkness.
He promises to draw on the best of American citizens. He promises to be an ally of light, not of darkness. Yet, in the 47 years of his political career, this presidential nominee has done exactly the opposite. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. has built his career by betraying the promises he makes. The man who's blaming Donald Trump for cloaking America in darkness was once accused of doing the exact same thing. Our story begins in 1971. Joe Biden was a Senate representative for the Newcastle County Council and was openly fighting for the cause of segregationists. As an anti-busing crusader, he vehemently opposed the practice of desegregating schools for Black Americans. His disdain for the Black community prevailed in the years that followed. But in 1993, Biden took his racist rhetoric one step further and gave this speech.
We should focus on them now, not out of a liberal instinct for love, brother, and humanity, although I think that's a good instinct, but for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
He called Black Americans predators who were roaming free on the streets. An accusation that keeps coming back to bite him. Because Biden himself has been called a predator in the guise of a politician. In the last 2 decades, at least 8 women have alleged that Biden either touched them inappropriately or violated their personal space. Questionable acts such as these have earned him the title of Creepy Joe. American voters saw how bad Biden was in a debate. Most of his arguments fell flat. They were ripped apart by his own running mate, Kamala Harris.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
Switch to 2020. Joe Biden is now the official US presidential nominee of the Democratic Party, backed by his campaign team and the American media. He has been consistently pummeling his opponent Trump in opinion polls and is said to be proving the naysayers wrong. But can he? Biden is still facing some strong accusations that could damage his candidacy. The Biden family's alleged dealings with Ukraine are still making headlines. On the 18th of August, Donald Trump retweeted this audio clip. A leaked conversation between Biden and former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. The clip doesn't reveal much, but questions remain, and Biden is not doing enough to address them. As Donald Trump escalates his attacks in back-to-back press conferences, Biden is not taking any questions from the press. The last time he did was on the 28th of July. In the 3.5 weeks that have followed, this presidential nominee has shuttered himself from the media. How long can he afford to do this? The presidential campaign is heating up. His only USP right now is that he's not the man he's fighting. Donald Trump. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.